Hi everyone, this is Karen.
Hello everybody, I'm Shane.
Today we're looking at part 1 of Are punctuation marks coming to a full stop? And the vocabulary words are pause.
Pause.
After taking a short pause to drink some water, the speaker continued.
Empire.
Empire.
A river is the only thing that separates the two powerful empires.
Enthusiasm.
Enthusiasm.
Rebecca has a lot of enthusiasm for the work that she does.
Expand.
Expand.
The owners of the business have plans to expand to other cities.
Usage.
Usage.
Usage of this bathroom is reserved for employees only. So we're talking about punctuation marks.
I have to say, as a native English speaker, and I have to teach punctuation, I don't really understand all of punctuation. It's quite difficult.
It could be really complicated.
It can, right?
Right?
Yeah.
I remember back in school, maybe elementary school or high school, whenever you have to hand in, like your essay or an article that you write, and then the teachers will always correct you on your punctuation. Oh, there should be a comma here, there should be a period there.
A semicolon.
And a
or
colon,
or
question mark.
Parentheses.
That's right.
So many to learn. But actually, in fact, in the beginning of writing, there wasn't really punctuation, right?
That's right.
Because in the very beginning, people spoke more than they wrote. So with time, they slowly started to introduce punctuation.
That's right.
But the way that we use it today, as complicated as it is pretty recent, right?
You're right, you're right. And then I think that's why punctuation marks can be, a little confusing to some people.
Okay, let's learn a little bit more about the history of punctuation.
Sounds great.
Are punctuation marks coming to a full stop? From the moment we learned to read and write, we're taught the rules of punctuation. But punctuation wasn't always important, and in some ways, it may be on its way out again. Neither spaces nor punctuation was used in between the written words of the ancient Greeks, who favored public speech over writing. In the 3rd century BC, the Greek scholar Aristophanes proposed a 3-dot system to mark pauses of different lengths in speech. This system died out when Greece fell to Rome, since Romans preferred letting speakers decide where to pause during a speech.
Today's lesson is called Are punctuation marks coming to a full stop? Very funny. Part 1. Hello everyone, my name is Jeff, and I'm laughing because there's kind of a pun in that title there.
Yeah, there's a punctuation joke in the title, because punctuation, of course, are things like periods and commas and question marks and stuff like that. The period, that dot that we use to end a sentence in English writing, is also sometimes called a full stop. So is punctuation coming to a full stop? Are people stopping to use punctuation in their writing? And I think a lot of this is basically based on texting, sending short messages on your phone, having chat messages and things like that. Yes, people use punctuation less. They write in a more casual way. So is the whole idea of punctuation becoming part of history? Is it going away? Are we going to be not using these things in the future? It's an interesting question.
I hope punctuation sticks around.
It's kind of useful.
It's very useful. Also, I've got a rule in my life. It's not connected to punctuation, but if I see a text and it ends with LOL, I ignore it. I immediately just say, I'm just not going to take that.
But it's someone laughing out loud. They're just sending you a funny thing.
Not going to take it
What about
seriously.
the laughing, smiling, crying emoji? Kind of the same.
I'll think about it.
They'll think about it, but LOL, no.
Anyways, from the moment we learn to read and write, we're taught the rules of punctuation.
Period.
Use commas, use periods. But punctuation wasn't always important, and in some ways, it may be on its way out again.
Very interesting. Yeah, I mean, we often think of writing. That's just the way people write, and they've been writing that way for forever, right? Well, actually, no. And something as basic as punctuation, apparently they didn't have it in the past. So not using it in the future doesn't sound as crazy as you might think. Let's learn about the past before we learn about the present and the future. It says neither spaces nor punctuation was used in between the written words of the ancient Greeks, who favored public speech over writing. Very interesting. So if you read an actual ancient Greek text, ancient Greek writing, first of all the words would kind of go together like this, and there wouldn't be any space in between the words if you were reading it. And also, no punctuation. You won't see commas or periods or question marks in old Greek writing because it was more for speaking, not so much for reading.
Yeah, if you were to look at ancient texts, everything is just rammed together. The letters are all stuck together. You can't tell one word from the other, and there's no punctuation. It kind of looks like a mess. Now, in the 3rd century BC, the Greek scholar Aristophanes proposed a 3-dot system to mark pauses of different lengths in speech. So he started separating the words a little bit so you knew how much to pause in between this word and this sentence and that sentence. Anyways, here we do have the word pause. Right now, I'm going to pause. You see, I'm not moving. When you don't move like that, you pause. Okay, by the way, you can use this word as a noun or as a verb. If you stop moving, let's say, you are pausing. And you can also call that situation when you're not moving a pause. For example, after taking a short pause to drink some water, the speaker continued. Okay, so Aristophanes, he came up with this great 3-dot system, and hey, punctuation was born, and it's still with us in this way to this very day. Right? Wrong.
Yeah, not exactly. Because as we read next, this system, the one developed just earlier, died out when Greece fell to Rome, since Romans preferred letting speakers decide where to pause during a speech. It wasn't so much as reading the speech like instructions on how to say the speech. The Romans kind of liked to do it their own way, so they kind of got rid of this guide to speaking, deciding to let the speakers themselves decide where to pause during a speech. So there you go, another change to punctuation, this time brought in by the Romans, who of course had conquered Greece by that time. And so the story goes on, and we'll learn more about that story after our break.
Hello， 大家好，我是 Kenny。今天的课文标题是 Are punctuation marks coming to a full stop？ 好，其中用到这个 punctuation， 它是指标点的统称或者是标点符号用法。那我们说 punctuation mark 就是指标点符号。那么至于 come to a full stop， 它是表达终止、结束。可是 full stop 在英文里面也有句号的意思，所以这其实是双关语义，用来点出我们课文的主题。也就是说，标点符号是否会画上休止符呢？好，那我们来补充一下，刚刚老师没有说到 pun 这个字 ，P-U-N pun 就可以表达双关语。好，我们从小呢在学习读跟写都会学到标点符号的规则。那么这2天的课程就是来看看标点符号的历史与兴衰。课文就写到说，在古希腊人的书写文字之间呢，并没有使用空格或是标点，他们比较喜欢公开演说胜于写作。那么在西元前3世纪，希腊的学者亚里斯托芬他就有提出一套这种3点系统，用来标示演说当中不同长度的停顿。那么这套系统在希腊落入罗马手中之后就逐渐消失了，因为罗马人他们比较喜欢让演说的人在演讲的时候他自己决定看要在哪里 里停顿，先标好这样很奇怪。好，那么 pause 这个字可以当名词或当动词来表达停顿、暂停。那这边还有5个重点。第一个 neither 什么什么 nor 什么什么是用来连接词性相同的字词来表达既不怎么样也不怎么样，也就是2个都不怎么样。好，那么连接主词的时候，这个动词你就必须搭配 nor 后面的那个名词来做变化哦。例如Neither Jane nor her parents have ever been to Europe. Jane 和她爸妈都不曾去过欧洲。那例句里面的助动词就是要配合 nor 后方的那个 her parents， 所以我们是用 have， 不是用 has。好，第2个重点。Favor A over B 表示比较喜欢 A 胜过 B， 那么其中的 favor 在这边当动词，表示更喜爱、偏袒的意思，它就跟 prefer 意思很相近。例如 The coach seems to favor Jake over Daniel， 教练似乎偏爱 Jake 胜过 Daniel。好，第3个重点 die out 在这边是当不及物用，用来表达逐渐消失或是灭绝，像是 The dodo bird died out hundreds of years ago， 渡渡鸟在数百年前灭绝了。第4个重点 let 当实义动词，它表示让、允许，那么受词补语是要用原形动词，所以它的用法是 let 加受词加原形動詞。例如Nina's parents won't let her get a part-time job because they want her to focus on her studies. Nina 的爸妈不让她去打工，因为他们想要她专注在学业上。好，第5个重点是 WH 疑问词加不定词的用法。WH 疑问词像是 where, when, who, what, how 等等，之后可以接不定词 to be 来当做名词片语。这时候呢，这个名词片语就相当于 WH 疑问词加主词加助动词加动词。那我们用例句来看比较清楚。I don't know what to wear 就相当于 I don't know what I should wear， 我不知道该穿什么。好，接回到课文中。
Are punctuation marks coming to a full stop? In the 5th century, Christianity spread across the Roman Empire. Christians valued writing over public speech for communicating important ideas. With their enthusiasm for writing, they reintroduced punctuation. In the 7th century, Aristophanes' dots were updated and started being used in ways similar to how we'd use commas and periods today.
Okay, moving on. Let's talk some more about the history of punctuation. It's surprisingly interesting. Now, in the 5th century, Christianity spread across the Roman Empire. So, the Romans conquered Greece, and then Christianity kind of took over or spread across the Roman Empire.
That's right. And at that time, Rome was controlling a large part of the world, from Europe all the way over into Asia. And when we talk about one country or one group of people controlling a huge part of the world that they've probably conquered and taken over, had their armies go into and, become the new government, then we're probably talking about an empire. It's kind of like a kingdom. An empire will have a ruler, kind of like a king, maybe an emperor, but the idea is here that they've kind of expanded beyond where they're normally from, beyond their home country. They've taken over other countries nearby or in other parts of the world, and now they rule many lands, many peoples. They've kind of control a huge area, maybe like a continent-sized country. That might be an empire, the British Empire, the Roman Empire, that type of thing. For example, a river is the only thing that separates the two powerful empires. Wow, so these two very big and large countries separated by a river. I can see wars happening in a situation like that. Anyway, so Christianity came in. It became the new religion of the Roman Empire. And of course, Christianity spread through writing and speaking, but a lot of writing. It says Christians valued writing over public speech for communicating important ideas. They had the Bible, or developing the Bible, so people were reading it. They needed to have good writing to spread their religion.
And they also wanted to keep good records of stuff. If there were only one copy of one type of Bible, let's say, or other holy book, they wanted to copy these things so that they wouldn't be lost or get lost throughout history. Anyways, with their enthusiasm for writing, they reintroduced punctuation. Okay, when you're reading an ancient text, it's hard to read. If you read an ancient Christian text, it's easier to read because they have added punctuation. You know where there are stops and pauses, so on and so forth. Anyways, let's go ahead and talk about the noun enthusiasm right now. If you are enthusiastic, that's the adjective, you are eager, you want to do something, you're super excited. Okay, so those are the adjectives. The noun is enthusiasm. If you're filled with enthusiasm, you really want to do something. You really want to do that thing bad. For example, Rebecca has a lot of enthusiasm for the work that she does. Okay, let's go ahead and move on, talk some more about punctuation. In the 7th century, Aristophanes' dots were updated and started being used in ways similar to how we'd use commas and periods. So there you go, Aristophanes. He had the 3-dot system. In the 7th century, they started to update that, and soon we had commas and periods. Amazing modern punctuation had arrived. All right, folks, with that, it's time for us to take a break, but don't go away. We'll be right back after this.
到了西元5世纪，基督教在罗马帝国各地传播。那么基督徒要传达他们重要的想法时，他们比较看重的是书写。那么对写作的热情呢，就使他们又重新引进了标点符号。在西元7世纪，人们把亚里士多芬提出的那个3点系统更新改进，那么用法就跟我们现在使用逗点和句点的方式很类似。好，这边有2个单字 Empire 表示帝国，像 Roman Empire 就是罗马帝国， British Empire 表示大英帝国。好 Mike 老师有说到 Emperor 这个字 E-M-P-E-R-O-R Emperor 表示皇帝君主。好，那如果是 Empress E-M-P-R-E-S-S Empress 表示皇后女皇。下一个单字 Enthusiasm 它是名词，表示热诚、热情。好，那么它的形容词是 enthusiastic 就可以形容是热情的、热烈的。接回到课文中。
Are punctuation marks coming to a full stop? Punctuation continued to expand with the addition of the colon and semicolon, borrowed from musical notation. Around the 15th and 16th centuries, when the printing press came on the scene and usage of the question mark and exclamation mark became standard, the modern punctuation system was born.
So there you go, modern punctuation. It has arrived. We've got the comma, we've got the period. Fantastic. What else could we possibly need?
They were just getting started. It says punctuation continued to expand with the addition of the colon and the semicolon borrowed from musical notation. Oh my gosh, they're so keen on punctuation. They're borrowing it from how people write music down on paper as well. That's where the colon and semicolon came from. The colon, those 2 dots on top of each other, the semicolon, the dot over the comma, borrowed from music as they expanded more punctuation signs. To expand is basically to make something larger, to grow in some kind of way. Now, if you're actually growing, we wouldn't say you're growing, you're expanding, you're growing, you're getting taller. Expanding is kind of to grow in all ways, all right? If you blow into a balloon, the balloon will expand. It will get bigger in size, width, length, all that stuff. It's just getting bigger. For example, the owners of the business have plans to expand to other cities. The stores won't get bigger. They'll they'll just have more stores, so the business will get bigger, and hopefully their bank account will expand, will get bigger too.
So we've got the period,
Yes.
the comma,
Of course.
the colon,
Yeah, sure.
the semicolon.
We got them all.
That's gotta be the end of the story, right? Not exactly. Around the 15th and 16th centuries, when the printing press came on the scene and usage of the question mark and exclamation mark became standard, the modern punctuation system was born. There you go. We have all of those symbols now, except for the hyphen.
Ooh, hyphens.
What about the
Quotation marks,
Quotation mark.
underscore. Yeah,
underscore?
Yeah.
Anyways, usage. When we're talking about usage, we're talking about something being used. That's really all there is to it. For example, usage of this bathroom is reserved for employees only. All right, folks, with that, our lesson is now in the books, and it's time for us to say bye-bye.
Period.
好，接着标点符号就继续扩展，出现了冒号和分号。那它们是从音乐符号界来用的。然后大约在这个15、16世纪啊，当时出现了印刷机，然后问号跟惊叹号的使用就变成了常规，而现代的标点符号系统就这样诞生了。好，这边有2个单字 expand 它表示扩展、扩充，那么 usage 它表示使用、用法，是个名词。好，最后帮同学们补充一些标点符号的英文哦。comma 是逗号 ，period 是句号 ，colon 冒号 ，semicolon 表示分号。那么 question mark 表示问号 ，exclamation mark 表示惊叹号。好，那么老师们还有提到 hyphen 指的是连字号，把不同的单字连在一起的那连字号，还有 quotation mark 是引号，那么 underscore 是下划线底线的意思。好，那么以上是今天的讲解，同学们别走开，马上回来哦。
Oh, hey! Nice to meet you. It's a perfect day for dog walking, right? My dog, Benny, is a standard poodle. Do you know much about poodles? Poodles are ranked the second smartest dogs in the world. They're great at doing tricks and are very obedient. Poodles are actually a group of 3 dog breeds: standard, miniature, and toy. The standard poodle is the biggest. It's usually over 38 centimeters tall at the shoulder. It was bred for herding and duck hunting. Miniature and toy poodles are smaller. In the past, people used to carry toy poodles around in their sleeves. They were even called sleeve dogs. Poodles' fluffy fur is actually called hair. They have to get a haircut every 3 to 6 weeks. Their hair will keep growing if you don't cut it. Come on, Benny. Oh, I'm sorry. Benny is tired. It's time to go home. See you next time. Come on.
See you next time.